"Who are you?" asked air traffic control. The small airport's flight instructor leaned into the radio and said something. At that moment, everyone's breath caught, and they all began looking at him with different eyes. Until that moment, everyone knew Brandon as just a calm flight instructor. But when he saw those metallic glints in the sky, his expression completely changed. As if a memory from years past had come alive, his muscles tensed, his eyes sharpened. Hello, welcome to the Last Stand channel. Have you or your loved ones ever been pilots? Share your experiences in the comments. Brandon Cole worked as a flight instructor at the regional airport in Pine Ridge, a small town in Montana. He was 48 years old, medium height, sun-bronzed man. His voice was always calm, his manner measured. This morning, like every other day, he had arrived early. While drinking his coffee, he was planning the flights he would make during the day. He had two students, Connor Davis, a young man trying to get his private pilot license, and a woman named Danielle Brooks, who wanted to become a commercial pilot. Several pictures hung in Brandon's office, aircraft photos, graduation ceremony images. But if you looked carefully, the aircraft in the pictures weren't ordinary civilian planes. They had sharper lines, more aggressive appearances. At 9 o'clock, Connor arrived. He was a 23-year-old college graduate who dreamed of becoming a pilot. "What are we going to learn today, Brandon?" he asked excitedly. Brandon smiled. "Today we're covering emergency procedures. We'll do an engine failure simulation." They got into the Cessna 172. Brandon always told his students the same thing. In aviation, patience is the most important thing. If you rush, you make mistakes. And if you make mistakes. He didn't finish his sentence. But for a moment, a different light flashed in his eyes, as if he was remembering much more serious, much more dangerous situations. During the flight, Connor noticed that Brandon was constantly listening to the radio. Not just about their own flight, but monitoring other frequencies as well. "Brandon, why do you listen to the radio so much?" he asked curiously. Brandon shrugged. "Habit. In aviation, you need to know what's happening." But Connor noticed that the frequencies Brandon was listening to weren't ordinary civilian aviation frequencies. They had more official, more military tones. After landing, Connor thought to himself, "Is this guy just a flight instructor?" In the afternoon, while Brandon was dealing with paperwork in his office, he heard a strange voice on the radio. Air traffic control was speaking more tensely than usual. Until that moment, everyone knew Brandon as just a calm flight instructor. But when he saw those metallic glints in the sky, his expression completely changed. As if a memory from years past had come alive, his muscles tensed, his eyes sharpened. He looked out the window. Far away, very far away, 4 metal dots were flying in the sky, very fast, very high, and going in the wrong direction. Brandon's pulse quickened. He recognized those aircraft. In the small control tower of the airport, Austin Campbell was working. He was 28 years old, inexperienced but enthusiastic air traffic controller. While checking the radar screen, he noticed that 4 unidentified dots were rapidly approaching. The identification system wasn't working. "Pine Ridge Tower to unknown aircraft," he said into the radio. "Identify yourselves and state your intentions." No response. Austin got worried. He needed to report to the Federal Aviation Administration. But just then, Brandon came running up to the control tower. "Austin, what do you know about those aircraft?" "I don't know, Brandon. They're not identifying, not responding to radio. They're flying very fast." Brandon looked at the radar screen. Speed, 500 miles per hour. Altitude, 25,000 feet. Course, straight toward the city center. His face went pale. "Austin, call NORAD immediately," Brandon shouted. "NORAD? But why?" "Because those are North Korean fighter jets. MiG-29s. The identification is crystal clear." Austin looked shocked. "North Korea? But how did they get here?" Brandon checked the radar screen again. Flight pattern, formation structure, approach angle. Everything seemed to come straight from the North Korean Air Force tactical playbook. "Austin, this is a planned attack. They probably infiltrated through Alaska. Must have bypassed radar systems." Brandon took the radio and switched to a special frequency. "NORAD, Colorado Springs. This is Pine Ridge Regional Airport. We have 4 unidentified military aircraft approaching civilian airspace." requesting immediate assistance. At that moment, a question came to Austin's mind. Brandon, are you just a flight instructor? The response came from NORAD. Pine Ridge Regional, we copy. 4 North Korean MiG-29 aircraft violated American airspace 15 minutes ago. According to our intelligence reports, this is a surprise attack attempt. Brandon's face was tense. What's their target? The city of Billings. Malmstrom Air Force Base is 30 miles away. Strategic nuclear weapons facility. Probably a preliminary reconnaissance attack. Austin's color drained. Nuclear facility? Brandon turned to him. Austin, if those MiGs reach Malmstrom, it's not just the base that's in danger, the whole region is. North Korea's goal is to strike American nuclear capacity. But why only 4 aircraft? Because this is a test. They're measuring American air defense. If they succeed, a bigger attack will follow. Brandon's hand trembled. 45 minutes was too long. Those MiGs would reach the city in 10 minutes. NORAD, this is Brandon Cole at Pine Ridge. I need to speak to whoever's in charge of this operation. State your authority. Brandon took a deep breath. He was preparing to say words he hadn't spoken in 15 years. Call sign Eagle, former Air Force F-16 pilot, 147th Fighter Wing. Service record, 1,995, 2008. There was silence on the radio. Then a different voice came. Eagle, this is Colonel Fletcher from NORAD. Is that really you? Affirmative, Colonel. We have your service record here. 847 combat hours, 23 confirmed kills. Eagle, we need you back in the cockpit. Colonel, where's the nearest F-16? Malmstrom Air Force Base. But there's a problem, Eagle. We have 2 F-16s there, but both pilots are down with food poisoning from last night's mess hall. Brandon's heart stopped. Colonel, so you're saying, we're asking you to fly a combat mission, Eagle, one last time. Austin listened with confusion. He was beginning to understand who Brandon Cole really was. Colonel, I haven't flown in 15 years, the F-16. Eagle, those MiGs will reach Billings in 8 minutes. 200 civilian lives are at stake. You're our only hope. Brandon looked out the window. In the distance, children were going home from school. Families were living their normal lives. None of them knew what would happen in 8 minutes. Colonel, how do I get to Malmstrom? Our helicopter is en route. You'll be there in 12 minutes. What about those MiGs? We need to stall them for 15 minutes. We're doing what we can. Brandon turned off the radio and turned to Austin. Austin, listen to me. In 15 minutes, a helicopter will arrive here. Don't tell anyone what happened. But Brandon, are you really? Yes, Austin. I really was an F-16 pilot, and now I need to be one again. He ran outside. Austin followed him and asked, Brandon, why did you quit? Why did you leave military aviation? Brandon stopped. There was deep pain on his face. Because on my last mission, I lost someone. I loved her, and she died because of my mistake. Elena Rodriguez. She was 26 years old. I loved her. But I never told her. Brandon's eyes filled with tears. He began telling the story he hadn't told anyone in 15 years. There were military protocols. I was a captain. She was a lieutenant. Officer-enlisted relationships were forbidden. But that look in her eyes, it was like she felt it too. He paused, took a breath. In 2008, it was our last mission in Afghanistan. We were sent to support a base under Taliban attack. Elena and I were providing close air support with our F-16s. Austin listened silently. That morning, she said she wanted to tell me something before the flight. Let's talk when we get back, Brandon, she had said. There was a different light in her eyes, like she was finally going to confess her feelings. Brandon's voice trembled. But that conversation never happened. Because I hit the wrong coordinates, the bomb fell on our friendlies. Elena immediately tried to intervene, flew low to protect me. Taliban's missile hit her. Tears were flowing. Her last radio message was, Brandon, I love. She couldn't finish her sentence. She crashed, and I never told her. I never told her how much I loved her. The sound of a helicopter could be heard in the distance. Brandon quickly ran to his office and pulled out a bag from the closet. Inside were his old pilot helmet and gloves. Austin followed him. "Brandon, what happened after that day?" "Court-martial. Dishonorable discharge. I lost my pilot license too. But a year later, I got a civilian pilot license. Here, in Montana, I tried to build a new life. The helicopter had landed. 2 soldiers got out. Mr. Cole? We're here to take you to Malmstrom." Brandon turned to them. "Before we start, what's the tactical situation?" "Sir, the MiG-29s are 6 minutes out from Billings. We're tracking them, but our fighters are still 35 minutes away." Brandon pulled out a small photo from his pocket, a photo of Elena Rodriguez in pilot gear. "Elena, today I'm going to honor you," he whispered. The helicopter reached Malmstrom in 10 minutes. Base Commander Colonel Peterson met Brandon. "Eagle, welcome back after 15 years. Colonel, let's get a tactical briefing. How much time do we have?" 4 minutes. MiGs are 20 miles from the city. Your F-16 is ready. Weapons loaded. 2 AIM, 120 AMRAAMs, 2 AIM, 9 Sidewinders, full gun ammunition. They ran to the hangar. The waiting F-16 Fighting Falcon filled Brandon's eyes. After 15 years, once again. "Colonel, when was this aircraft's last maintenance?" "Yesterday. Fully operational. But Eagle, can you really do this?" 15 years is a long time. Brandon went to the F-16, put his hand on its fuselage. "Some things are never forgotten, Colonel." After putting on pilot gear, Brandon sat in the F-16's cockpit. As his hands moved over the controls, memories came back. Every button, every screen was familiar. The crew chief approached. "Sir, all systems green. You're cleared for immediate takeoff." Brandon put on his helmet and opened the radio. "NORAD, this is Eagle, ready for takeoff." "Eagle, MiGs are 15 miles from the city, heading 180, altitude 20, 0 feet. You are weapons free." Brandon started the engine. The power of the F-16 spread through his body. After 15 years, once again. "Tower, Eagle requesting immediate takeoff clearance." "Eagle, runway is yours." "Good luck." The F-16 rolled onto the runway. Brandon pushed the throttle forward, and the afterburner engaged. 3 seconds later, he was airborne. While climbing to 30, 0 feet, Brandon checked the radar screen. 4 contacts. MiG-29s were approaching Billings in formation. "NORAD, Eagle airborne. I have 4 bandits on scope, bearing 90, range 40 miles. Copy, Eagle." "You are cleared to engage." Brandon armed his AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles. He was ready for beyond visual range engagement, but there was a problem. 4 against 1. "NORAD, be advised. I'm outnumbered 4 to 1. If I don't make it." "Eagle, negative thinking. You're the best pilot we've got." Elena would be proud. Hearing that name gave Brandon strength. Elena Rodriguez, the woman he loved, his best friend, the one he lost 15 years ago. "Elena, this one's for you," he murmured. Radar lock-on signal came. One of the MiGs had detected Brandon. "NORAD, I'm spiked. North Korean pilots have me." "Eagle, be careful. These pilots are North Korea's elite unit. They've received state-of-the-art training." Brandon made a sharp left turn and deployed chaff. He fired the first AIM-120. Fox 3, AMRAAM away. The missile headed toward the MiG group at 4 times the speed of sound. 20 seconds later, impact. "NORAD, Eagle. Splash 1 North Korean MiG." Outstanding, Eagle. But watch out. The remaining 3 are going into revenge formation. That's in the North Korean tactical playbook. Indeed, the remaining 3 MiGs were forming a coordinated attack pattern. This wasn't random attack. It was professional military operation. But there was no time for celebration. The other 3 MiGs had started a counterattack. Warning, warning, missile launch. Alarms were going off in the cockpit. Brandon performed a sharp, evasive maneuver. 8G force was crushing his body, but muscle memory had kicked in. He fired the second AIM-120. Fox 3. This time, the MiG pilot was faster. He evaded the missile. Damn, missed. Now it was close-range combat. Sidewinder time. Brandon put the F-16 into a dive, increasing his speed. One of the MiGs was behind him. The other two were doing flanking maneuvers. Come on, Brandon murmured. He got Sidewinder lock on the rear MiG. Fox 2, Sidewinder away, hit. The second MiG went down. Splash 2. But just then, the third MiG attacked from the left. 30 cannon fire. Brandon made evasive action at the last second but took damage to the right engine. Shit, engine hit, I'm losing power. One of the F-16's two engines wasn't working. Power had dropped 50%. But Brandon didn't panic. NORAD, Eagle. I've lost one engine but I'm still in the fight. Eagle, RTB. Negative. 2 bandits still active. They'll reach the city in 5 minutes. Brandon focused on the remaining 2 MiGs. He had to engage in close-range combat with gun ammunition. He began tail pursuit on the first MiG. Distance, 2,000 feet. Very close. Come on, Elena. Guide my hands. He fired the 30mm cannon. Long burst. Hit. Splash 3. The last MiG remained. But it was chasing Brandon too. Brandon and the last MiG began a classic dogfight. Circle fight. Who could make tighter turns? Who could get better positioning? Brandon's experience kicked in. 15 years had passed, but his reflexes were still sharp. Vertical climb, aileron roll, inverted dive. Every maneuver was technique Elena had taught him. Got you, Brandon yelled. Perfect firing position. Final cannon burst. Hit. Splash 4. All bandits down. But the victory celebration was short. The F-16's left engine had completely shut down. There was a fuel leak. NORAD, Eagle. Declaring emergency. Single engine. Fuel leak. Requesting immediate landing clearance. Eagle. Nearest runway is Great Falls. 20 miles north. Brandon was forcing the F-16 to stay in the air. Very difficult with single engine. 10 miles. 5 miles. The runway was visible. Mayday, Mayday. Eagle on final approach. Single engine, fuel critical. Brandon lowered the landing gear. The F-16 touched down on the runway. Hard landing but safe. After shutting down the engines, Brandon sat in the cockpit. His hands were shaking. After 15 years, he had returned from a combat mission. Elena, he whispered, we did it. 3 hours later, Brandon was talking with Colonel Morrison from the Pentagon. Mr. Cole, today the United States owes you a debt. You saved 200 civilian lives. Colonel, I just did my job. Mr. Cole, today you didn't just save 200 civilians, you probably prevented World War III. Sir? According to CIA reports, this was the test phase of a major attack North Korea was planning against America. If these 4 MiGs had succeeded, a second wave of 200 aircraft would have come within 48 hours. Brandon was shocked. 200 aircraft? Yes. Malmstrom was just the beginning. Targets, all nuclear facilities, NORAD command center, strategic air bases. North Korea was trying to destroy America's nuclear capacity in one fell swoop. So what happens now? Now North Korea knows that American air defense is aware of their plan. This destroyed their surprise advantage. Diplomatic channels are opening. Tensions will decrease. Brandon thought deeply. So today you prevented the biggest nuclear crisis since the Cold War, Mr. Cole. Sir, with all due respect, you did much more than that. You redeemed yourself. Brandon's eyes filled with tears. For the first time in 15 years. Colonel, about the 2008 incident. Mr. Cole, the Pentagon reviewed your service record. Elena Rodriguez's death wasn't your fault. Taliban's surface-to-air missile system was in an unexpected position. The investigation was reopened. Conclusions changed. Brandon's world stopped. Sir, what are you saying? You're cleared, Mr. Cole. Elena's death wasn't your fault. And today, you honored her memory. A week later, Brandon Cole returned to the small airport in Montana, but he was no longer just a flight instructor. The official letter from the Pentagon read, Honorable discharge restored. All military honors reinstated. Presidential Medal of Freedom awarded. Austin met Brandon at the airport. Brandon, the whole town's talking about you. You've become a hero. Brandon smiled. Austin, I'm not a hero. Elena was the hero. I just finished her unfinished mission. He hung Elena Rodriguez's photo on the wall in his office. Below it he wrote, To the woman I loved and my best friend. Mission complete. If you enjoy these powerful stories, don't forget to subscribe to the Last Stand channel. We'll continue bringing you more hero stories every day. Brandon Cole still works as a flight instructor in Montana today, but he's no longer just a civilian pilot. He also serves part-time as an F-16 pilot in the National Guard. And before every flight, he performs the same ritual. He looks at Elena Rodriguez's photo and says, "This one's for you, my love." Because real heroes are never forgotten. And sometimes you have to take to the skies again to honor their memory.